Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery, great to be with you this morning. We get together most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central to talk about the grant, to talk about the formula for funding, and to explain how small businesses can access capital legally and ethically. We have a new format for our morning presentations as of today. You can let me know what you think of it. Again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, it's important that you share those with us so we can respond. That's in the Q&A. On our initial screen here, there's a couple resource sites in the bottom right-hand corner I want to bring your attention to. The formula for funding.com, that's our landing page. That's the entry point. So for anyone that wants to be considered for the grant, anyone that's looking for funding, this is where we're going to go first so we can get you into the system and then support you properly. spefunding.com continues to be our resource page. There are lots of detailed trainings there. So if you're real analytical and you want to learn from the inside out, up, down, left, right, definitely go into spefunding.com. We'll give you lots of details. But the reason we're primary gathered today is to answer the question is, do you need money to start or grow a business? And if the answer to that question is yes, then what we're going to talk about over the next few minutes is remarkably applicable, and we're going to refer to it as the formula for funding. So, our brief agenda this morning is we'll start with an introduction. Secondly, we're going to talk about the truth about getting business funding. A lot of people don't know what they don't know, and worse yet, a number of people have misperceptions of what it takes to be able to get approved for business loans. We're going to reveal the truth about business funding. We're going to understand the formula for funding. What does it take to get approved by banks for large business loans? We're going to learn the legal loophole for getting business funding. And then lastly, determine if you qualify to participate. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with the introduction. Now, before I share with you what I need to over the next few minutes, I have two quick questions for you. And so if you don't mind taking a moment, going to the Q&A, it's like a chat box, Zoom. I'd like you to answer two questions first. The first of which is, are you happy with the money that your business has now? So for those of you that are entrepreneurs, small business owners, or considering, are you satisfied with your solvency, with your liquidity, with your access to capital? Take a moment and type in yes or no. And it's not a loaded question, but that's where we need to start. Because if we have a problem, then what we talk about today as a solution is going to be relevant. If you don't have a problem, I don't know that there's anything to solve. And then the second question is for you to quantify. How much money would you need to have 30 days from now? So we're recording this on Monday, April 13th. So if we could fast forward to May 13th, 1 month from now, how much money, how much funding would you need to be happy, to be able to accomplish what you need to accomplish? Now, I'm not saying $10 billion. I'm sure it'd be nice to have crazy amount of money, but specifically, if 30 days from now we could have a reasonable plan to legally and ethically raise capital, how much would you need 30 days from now? And if you can't answer that question, I think that is important homework, right? Because if you have a problem, but you don't even know what the solution is, what is the amount of funding you need to start your business, to grow your business, to reach your potential, then maybe you really don't need money. Maybe you're not ready for a capital raise yet if you don't know how much that you need. All right, with that being said, let's proceed to the formula for funding. So in the next few minutes, we're going to discuss the formula for funding to get money to start or grow a business. Many of you are familiar with the concept of an SPE, a special purpose entity. Some people call this a special purpose vehicle, SPV. But anyone that's knowledgeable about how these instrument works, they would suggest, as I would agree, and I think you would too, it's the smart choice for getting business funding. Because if we have a problem, we don't have the money that we need to start or grow a business. We need to decide how we're going to go about solving that problem. What is the method of solution or resolution that we have? The SPE is certainly a smart choice for those of you that understand it. With that being said, let's go through a few truths about raising capital. And I think some of this will be either contradictory to what you've been told before or simply what's not been shared with you before. So let's cover some truths about a capital raise. So the first of which is anyone can get a large business loan legally and ethically. So we're not talking about doing anything illegal or wrong or gray, but money is out there. There are banks, there are credit unions, there's other types of lenders, SBA, non-SBA. The money's out there and they do want to loan money to small businesses. So the first fallacy that we need to avoid is, oh, I can't get funding or our banks don't want to loan money. That's not true. So what we need to do, of course, is secondly, we need to have a fundable business, right? So if our goal is to have business funding, we need to have a fundable business. A lot of people want to skip that step. Oh, no, 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 no. But that's at the core of it. If we don't have a fundable business, we're not going to qualify. But if the opposite's true, if we do have a fundable business, guess what? We can get business funding. We can get it. You can get it. Everyone can get it if you qualify. So that's the reason we're together this morning. With that being said, if the problem is we need money to start or grow a business and we don't have it currently, then we need to have a solution of how to get it. And it's going to fall into one of two categories. We're either going to need to build a fundable business or we could buy a fundable business. There's only two options. Now, if we already have a fundable business, then we just need to be down at the bank right now applying. But let's assume that we want money, we need money, but we don't really qualify yet. We don't have a fundable business. So with that, so often people will fall into the fallacy, well, okay, well, I'll go put it together, or I don't think I could ever get approved. The fastest, easiest, and most predictable way of having a fundable business is to buy one, to get a business that's already fundable and then turn around and use it for financing. Many people don't think of that. We're going to continue on with a couple more truths. So page 2 of that. With the grant that we've received, we can provide everyone a fundable business through the SPE model, and it's not going to require any money out of pocket. So it's not a free program, as we'll talk about, but it's actually through financing that it's paid for. So I know some of you like the term other people's money, OPM. That's essentially what we're able to do. We can go get a business that's fundable, use it to then get business funding, and not have to pay out of pocket. The last truth that we need to uncover is often people are self-limiting. They think, my credit's not so good, or I don't have any money. It takes money to get money. But if we use this model, this approach, credit is not a barrier, and nor is current liquidity. So there really are no reasons other than illiteracy or a lack of understanding that would prevent us from being able to get business funding. So our approach is proven. The three of us that started our nonprofit, we all worked as SBA advisors, and each of us actually worked at three different offices. The office that I was in Tyler, Texas. Well, the office still is in Tyler, Texas, but I don't work there any longer, of course. And we were one of the top producing offices in the nation, even though we were in more of a semi-rural area. covering 7 semi-rural counties, none of which were Dallas or Houston or large cities. We literally were able to fund thousands of businesses using this model. So it certainly is proven, it's credible. And what we're doing is giving the bank legally and ethically what they need to approve the loan. So that's what we're doing is we are essentially using the formula for funding. And so this is something that you could do on your own, or you could use the grant and we could assist you. But what we're able to do is commit to getting you at least 250,000 within 30 days. Sounds too good to be true. Well, it's only too good to be true if you don't understand how it works. And some people refer to this as quote unquote the legal loophole. So let's go ahead and look deeper into how this legal loophole works. So we're using a special purpose entity. Following that concept we said earlier, we either need to build a fundable business or buy one. If we're going to build one, could take quite a while. If we're going to buy one, we could either go find a local business for sale, a gas station, a grocery store, a restaurant, a hotel, whatever it is. We've talked about Biz Buy Sell as a website where you can go find businesses for sale, but those tend to be kind of pricey. So the SPE model is a rather synthetic approach to having a fundable business without having any out-of-pocket cost and no risk. Not free, not free, but the cost is actually paid for out of the funding, out of the financing. So with an SPE, this legal loophole, how does it work? Well, it provides what lenders are looking for, which I alluded to a moment ago, and that can be understood essentially with 3 elements. The first thing that we need to have if we're going to go after business funding is we need a compliant entity, a compliant business. So a business that's not filed tax returns is not compliant. A business that's been around for a long time and has no cash flow is not going to be considered compliant for funding. So the first thing that we provide with the special purpose entity is a compliant shelf corp. Transferred to you as a participant, you own 100%. It's now your business. So we have element number 1 quite simply, quite easily. The second thing that we need to have for business funding, which is also included with the SPE, the special purpose entity, is the paperwork. We're going to refer to that as the loan package. To you, maybe it doesn't seem important, but to the bank it does. Therefore, we're going to give the bank what they want to see. Primarily, the loan package includes elements like the business plan, financials, and also objective feasibility data. I know that's probably not what you want to spend your time or energy on. We provide that turnkey, so no worries. But that's the second of the 3 elements. The third is the most comprehensive, I guess, and it's referred to as the 3 C's. When lenders underwrite a bank loan, they're typically looking at the creditworthiness, the collateral, and the capacity of the applicant. And this is what keeps a lot of people from getting approved. They don't have one or more of those. The SPE comes with all 3. So briefly stated, from a credit perspective, there's personal credit and business credit. We provide the business creditworthiness by adding trade lines under number 1, under that shelf corp. So we have real trade lines that are reporting on Dun and Bradstreet, for example, that makes the business look strong. On a personal credit side, if the grant participant doesn't have strong personal credit, we provide a cosigner. It used to be that people would say, well, can't we do credit repair, quote unquote? But credit repair is not a good option any longer. As you may or may not know, there's a new credit scoring algorithm called FICO 10. FICO 10 no longer looks at just current credit status. It looks at credit history. It looks back in the past. Therefore, if we had damaged credit, damaged credit, damaged credit, great credit, we probably still wouldn't get approved, even though today we have great credit because they're looking at the trend. So rather than trying to game the system and make someone's credit profile look better than what it maybe should, then we'll just use a cosigner. So that's the first C. The second C is collateral. Lenders want assets to be pledged that in case the borrower should not repay the loan, that they're not at a loss. A lot of people don't have collateral. Normally, you're looking at needing dollar for dollar collateral. The SPE includes that. And then the third C is capacity. Think of it also as cash flow. That's where we're demonstrating to the lender that we actually have enough money that we can afford to pay the loan back. And I know a lot of people are like, well, loan me a lot of money, and then of course I'll have the money to pay it back. But there's not a lender in the world that wants to issue a loan whereby the only possible source of money to pay the loan back is the loan itself. That's way too risky. Therefore, capacity is important, and we provide that. So ultimately, it comes down to, do you qualify for the grant? Do you qualify to participate in the special purpose entity model? We will issue you a written guarantee. We'll take all the risk, no risk to you, no out-of-pocket cost, to get you at least 250,000 in 30 days. If you need more than 250,000, that's fine, but we'll need to sit down and look at what your needs are. Remember, I asked you at the beginning of the session today, how much money do you need in 30 days? And some of you said more than 250,000. Rod needs 500,000 in 30 days. So we can accommodate that. But the bottom line is we need to go to formulaforfunding.com as our next step. It's only going to take you like 1 minute. It's just a basic form so we can get you into the system, and then one of our funding attorneys can follow up with you. The way that we built out our team, we have only attorneys and paralegals that work with our clients. And so one of our funding attorneys, once that form has been filled out, will follow up, answer questions, and make sure that you qualify for the grant. So with that being said, I'll take any questions, comments, concerns that you have. Do encourage you to go to formulaforfunding.com, spend 30 to 60 seconds, fill out the brief form, and then we can further assist you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the Zoom today, if you wanted to go to our spefunding.com website, it has a lot more detailed trainings on it. But to try to make it simple, many of you are looking for the quickest, the easiest, and frankly, the least expensive way to be able to access large amounts of funding. Well, you don't have to pay someone to get funding, but if you're not qualified, if you don't have a fundable business, we do need to resolve that. We've covered that we can either resolve that by building a fundable business, which we wouldn't recommend, or by buying a fundable business. And we've talked about in brief how the SPE, the special purpose entity, can provide you a fundable business, and we can guarantee in writing 250,000 in 30 days. So with that being said, let's take any questions, comments, concerns you all have. We're going to use the Q&A function of Zoom. Anyone have any questions? All right, KE has as the first question, he's asking about cost. And you're right, I didn't identify cost. There is a deposit to participate in the SPE program, KE. And the deposit, quite frankly, is $5,000. Do you have to pay that out of pocket? No. We have over 40 different lenders that are willing to finance that deposit so you don't have to pay it out of pocket. We have a private credit option that even if credit is poor, it's a guaranteed approval. So 100% of people that are accepted into the program will get financing. They do not have to pay the $5,000 deposit out of pocket. Thank you, KE, for that. Who else has other questions that I can address? All right, Eric's asking about larger capital raises. And so you're right, I gave you the example, which is a real one. Rod needs 500,000 in 30 days. So for him, the normal 250,000 is inadequate. And you can run into clients that have those types of needs. we can accommodate that. We'll have to change a few of the variables. But the SPE program, the Special Purpose Entity, is really set up for a $250,000 capital raise. But we can make some tweaks, make some changes, and do a larger capital raise if needed. So it still comes down to the three C's, building out everything to support it. It's not too good to be true. All right, Gerald asked about the guarantee, and that's right. So first, we're going to determine if you qualify. So we're changing it up a little bit. So you do need to first go to formulaforfunding.com, fill out that landing page. It'll take you to the full document set. We need that filled out, and then you'll be assigned to one of our funding attorneys. So what used to happen, people would call in and just out of the blue had questions, needed support. Now we need to create, because of growth, we need to have a system in place. So we've changed up our morning Zoom presentation, as you've just seen. Curious for your feedback if this was helpful or not. Certainly, I know that we didn't go into all the weeds and all the details about how SPE funding works, but you do have access to spefunding.com. If you want to dig in and learn a lot more, it's all available. As far as reaching out, first thing that you'll want to do, and this is from Mr. Walk, if I pronounced your name correctly, start with go to formulaforfunding.com, get into this system, and then we will have one of our funding attorneys reach out. They'll be assigned to work with you to assist you. Currently, we have 3 different funding attorneys. I'm sure we'll be hiring more, but at this point, you'll be assigned someone that's going to work with you. But we need to get you into the system first so we can support you. Mark's asking, could you do multiple SPEs? That is one option, right? So if each SPE is guaranteeing 250,000, Mark's correct. One option would be to do multiple SPEs, but we don't necessarily have to do multiple SPEs. We have to still qualify, so the 3 C's apply, but we'll work with you individually. Some of you have much larger, more sophisticated capital raise needs, and that really warrants an individual discussion. All right, so with that being said, we will not have a Zoom tomorrow due to travel. We'll be back Wednesday. This is the new format we'll be using. Let me know if you think this was helpful or not. It allows us to get through it a little bit quicker. Next step, though, is if you're looking for capital to start or grow a business, you're going to go to formulaforfunding.com, fill out the brief page. If you're already working with us, already in the system, then obviously you can call in and talk to whomever you've been working with. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you back Wednesday morning. Bye-bye.